I just choose to get it wrong by believing the best because I just think if you're always believing the worst, you're just living a cynical life and it's going to affect just the negativities that's going to seep out of you is going to affect you and your relationships and the people around you. So I'd much rather get it wrong believing the best. And then it's like, well, man, I believed everything I could until I couldn't.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to our first episode of 2026. Wow, it took me a second to figure out what year I was going to say. Is it 2025 or 2026 or 2027? I don't know. It's 2026.
It's a new year. It's a new year. What'd you do for New
year.
Year's Eve?
Our dear friend's mom hosted a party, had like catered in, very, very exciting. So that's what we did. And my parents were able to babysit for us because they were visiting, which is always nice to have a built-in babysitter. What about you?
I was going to say, ask me what I did.
What did you do?
This is a tradition now. This is the third year in a row that on New Year's Eve, we rent a pickleball court from 8:30 to midnight. And they ran out, there's 12 courts in this club. So they ran out all of them. And there's like maybe 10 to 20 people per court. And so it's loud and there's music and there's food and they do a toast and scream and yell at midnight. And you get to play pickleball for 4 hours straight. It's amazing.
Tim, have you always been this fun, or do you feel like you have come into this fun version of you in the last couple of years? Because I feel like it's been really cool. To me, it feels like it's been like the last 2 years that I have heard you do things like this. I'm like, I feel like the previous Tim that I knew would not even think about doing those things. But now, I don't know. What do you think?
Boy, great question. Reveals
Have
to
you
me
always
that
been
you
fun?
think I didn't used to be fun. So I gotta think about that. I think in Houston when we knew each other, I was working 60 to 70 hour weeks.
Yeah.
We lived in different parts of the city, which is weird because we live in different cities now, but we're also connecting more, I think, relationally with our families. So I don't know. I haven't done, my fun did not involve physical exertion prior until recently. So
Yeah, that's true. I just mean like you, or maybe I feel like one of the things I've learned from you over the last couple of years and admire is you prioritizing fun. So like pickleball blocked on your calendar on Friday mornings, and then the Notre Dame, like going to the Notre Dame games. Anyway, it's just really cool. I think renting a pickleball court with your friends on New Year's Eve is such a fun way to spend it.
my wife and I just had this talk the other night about these types of things. And it's like you can either, live to work or work to live. I absolutely love my work, so I feel like I get to live while I'm working, but also like it just brings a little bit of sanity at the end of a busy season when we know we have this break on the calendar, or we know on Friday morning we're playing pickleball, or we're going to go see the football game, or we have that, usually a larger vacation in the summer. So it's just, it's like now, if not now, when, So.
Yeah. Well, Elliot and I, that's as we're talking about 2026, one of the things that I want to prioritize, I want to learn from you in that. And like, cause yeah, we are just so bad at planning for vacations and fun things. There was a season where we had like a date night every Thursday, but that was pre-kids. And actually that was pre-COVID. Anyway, and then we wake up and we're like, when's the last time we did that? Or, so anyway, it's really cool. Okay, transitioning into 2026, first episode of 2026, I specifically wanted to interview you on this topic. Because speaking of things I've learned from you, and going back to our season 2, season 2, which was about 40 lessons in 40 years, one of your lessons was believe the best. And I wanted to spend an entire episode as we are setting the tone for 2026 of this concept of believing the best, because it really resonates with me given just how polarized we are as a country right now, and even my own lack of believing the best often and assuming the worst first. So I just thought this would be a really good conversation for us to start the year off with in season 3 of Leading in Real Time. So, why do you feel like always believe the best? Why was that one of your 40 lessons in 40 years? And why do you think that this one kind of surfaces the most for you?
Yeah, and it's one of the 40, but also as we were asked towards the end of last year, if you could only pick one, which would you pick? This was the one. And I
Mhm.
think it's the hardest one for most of us, the way we're wired. It's not natural. We tend to want people to believe the best in us, but we tend to, whether in our minds or out loud, we tend to ascribe wrong motives, ill intent to others when they don't come through. So, someone drags in, late for a meeting 3 days in a row, and we're like, they're such a slacker. They don't care that, their time's more important than they feel like their time's more important than our time. They're wasting our time. And then we're late for a meeting, and it's like, you just need to understand, like, I just, had to take my kid to school, or, I got a call from someone who was in a crisis, so we want them to believe the best about us, but we tend to quickly go to not believing the best about them. And whether we say it out loud or not, it comes through in our facial expressions, or for those people that have them, I don't really have any facial expressions or comments or
That
cynicism
is
or sarcasm. What'd you say?
I said that is true.
But I hear that's a thing. So,
Well, I have more facial expressions for both. I mean, I have enough to
yeah,
share, so
thank
you
you.
can you can have them.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, there's Brene Brown. I don't remember what book it's in, or maybe it was one of her talks. I can't remember, but or I think maybe it was Dare to Lead. She tells the story of she was rushing into one of her leadership team meetings, and her I don't know, it was like her CFO was like standing in the doorway as she was walking in the meeting, and and I don't remember what his name was, but like, "Hey, Tom," and he kind of was like, and she was like, "What is wrong with
Mm.
Tom? Like, how dare he have a bad attitude, and he must not be in this anymore." And she just immediately jumped to all of these things about him. And so later she was like, "Tom, what was the deal? Like, you responded to me, rudely." And he was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I don't even remember that. But this morning I got a call from my daughter and blah, 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 blah." And so her point in telling that story was like what you're saying, where it's like, we jump to these conclusions when really Tom was just dealing with a crisis in his life that morning and didn't even remember that he had come across, didn't even remember talking to Brene, and didn't remember that he had come across and didn't intend it at all. And so, um, it's just such a good reminder what you're saying, to that we often have more grace for ourselves than we do for others, and what would it look like to extend that compassion and grace to other people. I struggle with this one because I hear you and I want to believe the best, but for myself personally, and often for those of us who are leading organizations, there's also this responsibility to like be protective. And so, like, I find that when I'm assuming the worst, it's a defense mechanism for myself personally, where I'm like, I want to protect myself from being hurt, or I want to protect myself from, um, maybe I'm putting something on this person that was a past experience. But then also, when you put our executive leader hat on, there is a responsibility for us to protect the organization. So, how do we balance that? My question is, how do we balance the tension of assuming the best, but also being responsible and protective for our organizations?
Yeah, I think that comes up less often than we maybe convince ourselves it does, but it does come up. There's gonna be times when someone's gonna, come to you with a accusation about someone on your staff. Or, there's gonna be something alleged, and, like, if your response is 100% believe the best, no, that's not true, get out of my office, he or she could not have done that. That's not being responsible, for the organization. So, because we do have to steward the organization, and it's part of our job to protect it if we're in senior leadership there. So I think it's still a both and. It's like, I'm gonna believe the best, and also we need to do some work on this. We need to do some investigation. We need to ask some questions. So I'm going to that person right away and just saying, "Hey, here's some information that, just came across my desk or just got to me. You're the first person I'm talking to about this. Um, just kind of talk me through this." And if they're like, "Man, there is absolutely nothing true about that." It's like, I 1,000% believe you, but obviously still we have to do our due diligence for the organization because this is a serious allegation. And so here's the steps we're going to take. And you just need to know that I wouldn't say I have your back because you really are trying to find the truth. Was it Reagan that said, trust but verify? So it's like,
Mm.
100% trust and a sense of we're going to love you through that process, but we're also going to do our due diligence and make sure that we find the truth so we're not being sloppy and not being careless in how we care for the organization. I think that happens. I think more often, like daily, minute by minute, hour by hour, it is our response to things that are happening around us. So it's someone who makes a comment who has a different perspective politically or different perspective than you do related to raising your kids or different perspective than you do related to something maybe theological or how you view people that have different lifestyle choices than you. And we all tend to live in echo chambers. And so those echo chambers, whether we know it or not, are impacting our perspective and negativity and judgmentalism towards other people. Whereas I think believing the best is, man, you just go in with a ton of curiosity and you ask a lot of questions. So someone throws out something that seems way outside your perspective or anything that you believe or thought or grew up believing. But like there's probably something there. There's something in their background that brought them to that place. So it's like just one of my favorite questions is, tell me more. Tell me more about
Mm.
that. So they throw something out and you're like, your brain's like going because you're like, I don't know. I don't have any context for that. I have nothing in common with you. So tell me more. It gives you time to gather your thoughts. But it also is, if it's sincere, it's like, tell me more. How did you land there? What are some things from your background, from your life that brought you to that conclusion? And really seek to understand.
Hmm. That tell me more is such a good practical application of giving yourself the time that you said collect your thoughts, but you don't have to have a response. You don't have to have a reaction to be able to practice saying, "Oh, tell me more about that," when you feel that feeling of shock or concern, to allow yourself the opportunity to listen. That's what you're doing in that moment. It's tell me more so that you have the chance to listen and get more context. I remember sitting in your office years ago, Tim, and I don't even remember, but I was seeking your counsel on something and you said, I literally had something and then as I started saying it, I forgot it.
Well,
Hold
while
on.
while you're thinking about that, couple things came to mind for me. So one would be like examples from my past. So I grew up very, very clearly. Our family was on one side of the political aisle. And so even as I got into adulthood, I had one um, fair and balanced channel on my TV nonstop that was definitely leaning one direction. And they would tell you night after night that the people that believe differently, they don't love America. They want this country to go to hell. It's just like constant, constant, constant. And so that was my perspective. You demonize the people that are on the other side of the aisle from what you believe because you're told to. You're told how
Mhm.
awful they are. And so I just remember like then actually having conversations with human beings that squarely believe something different and then just entering that conversation with curiosity. I didn't necessarily change my opinion. Some opinions changed, but more it was just like, oh, I get it. Like it totally makes sense, and it's coming from pure motives from people who they love this country just as much as I do. They want the best for their cities and their communities just as much as I do. They just are approaching it from a different perspective. And another illustration, growing up very conservative, fundamentalist, conservative as far as Christianity goes, that did not hurt me. As far as grew up very grounded in scripture. But there were things that were taught, like, Southern Baptist for us were very liberal. Okay. So Put that in your little
Mhm.
noggin for a second. And then everything, and then Catholics they weren't even going to heaven
Mm.
and then I remember the first time I was probably in my mid-20s and I met this devout Catholic Christ follower who was a much more spiritual, and I'm not just talking about actions, but just like he was living out his faith more than I was. And
Mm.
that just opened my it's like, wait a second, all these things I've been taught, I just need to enter those things with a little bit of curiosity and how did you land there? And tell me how you were brought up and what is this adding value to you? And how does this affect the faith? And how does this affect conversations with your kids? And what does this look like day to day, week to week? And just entering that with, I keep coming back to the word curiosity, but I think if we're believing the best, then we're going to be curious about the other person's perspective.
Yeah, curiosity. It's so true. Yeah, I think what I'm hearing you say is it's about the person's intentions more than their opinion. When you're saying whether it's about politics or a different lifestyle, it sounds like you've worked really hard to go, wait, what is this person's heart or motive or intention behind what they're saying or their opinion? And how can I discern that first before I just take whatever they're saying at surface level? And I wonder if that's part of what's led us to where we are so divided right now, where it's, oh, if this person believes this thing or says this thing or has this opinion, I can't be associated with them, rather than going, what I hear you saying, which is, oh, their heart is for the same thing my heart is. They just believe that there's a different way of going about that.
Yeah, and I think in our day-to-day work jobs, those of us that work at churches or organizations, companies, Andy Stanley talks about it. He says when there's a gap between what you expect someone to do and what they do, we often fill that gap with mistrust, skepticism, judgmentalism, critique, harsh critique. And he says healthy organizations are filled with people, leaders who will fill that gap with trust, with
Mm.
believing the best first. And that doesn't mean you're going to have slackers and you're going to have people that you need to help them find the off ramp out of your organization. Totally get that. But a lot of cases where that's not the case. And so, and I don't know that it ever becomes because we're just humans, sinful natures. I don't know that it ever becomes completely natural to always in every situation believe the best. So I think it's just something you just gotta put a post-it on your steering wheel or on your laptop or whatever, just like a sense of I'm gonna choose to believe the best. And everything within me is telling me that this person did not have good motive or good intention. But I'm gonna choose in my comments, my response, how I talk about this, how I act, the actions I take, that I'm gonna believe the best until I have solid reason not to.
Have you ever believed the best and then gotten hurt or felt like that bit you in the butt?
Yes.
And how did you not carry cynicism or jadedness with you? Or did you after that?
No, I think so whether you consistently believe the worst in people or you consistently believe the best in people, you are gonna get it wrong. I just choose to get it wrong by believing the best because I just think if you're always believing the worst, you're just living a cynical life and it's going to affect just the negativities that's going to seep out of you is going to affect you and your relationships and the people around you. So I'd much rather get it wrong believing the best. And then it's like, well, man, I believed everything I could until I couldn't. I mean, I went through that with a good friend that this was years ago that an accusation came forward and it was like, there is no freaking way. Like this person's, walked with them side by side for years, and there is no way this is true. And they said, absolutely not. And 10 days later, I found out it was absolutely true. And they'd been
Mm.
lying the whole time. It's like you get it wrong, and people around you who the whole time were saying they're lying, this has totally happened, and then they look at you and say you're stupid too. And you just live with that. And because I think I'd much rather err on the side of believing the best and getting it wrong.
Mm. What about how do we create a culture of this as an organization? So I know at Willow, this is something that you will believe the best is now a staff value of Willow, correct?
Right.
but I know you've told the story before. When you got there, that was a what was the word you used? That was a value that like we were trying to reach, like
It was aspirational. It was not.
aspirational. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an aspirational value. So, how do you go from something being an aspirational value to it actually being realized if you're sitting in that leadership seat, responsible for stewarding a culture?
I mean, so from a personal level, just model it because it is so anti-culture, counterculture that it will be noticed. Then people will ask questions and like, how can you possibly think that? It's like, well, I'm just choosing to believe the best, and we don't have all the facts. So I think modeling it personally, and then if you're in a position where that can seep out into becoming a value at the organization, I think you're just practicing it in meeting. I remember in meetings at Willow, once this was a value and began to be talked about, I remember people's, there'd be a meeting and, someone who's not in the room you're talking about, and it's kind of going negative and assuming a lot about, and maybe assuming for good reasons because we've seen a pattern or behavior in the past, and it's like they're just doing it again. And so there's assumptions, but we don't have all the facts. And for someone in the meeting to say, "Hey guys, like one of our values is to believe the best. We've got some more questions we need to ask before we can assume that, before we know that what we're assuming is true. And so let's drop back, let's step back, let's have someone really jump into this and explore this." Yeah, I think it's that. It takes a long time for any value to get into the water at any organization. And I think, ones like this are even more difficult because they're just not natural for us as humans.
Mhm. Yeah, I was thinking about I was on a coaching call, recently where the person was sharing with me conflict that they were having with somebody on their team, and they were like, "This person just doesn't think that da 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 da," and I paused and I said, "What data are you operating from that's leading you to believe that they don't wanna XYZ?" And they paused and said, "Well, you're right. Like, I can't think of anything." And you've done that for me before, Tim, which is probably where I got it from. But it's just so helpful to separate our facts from feelings in that moment, to be able to go, wait, is this just a story that I'm telling myself? Or do I really have facts and data to back up that this might be their response or the reality of the situation? That has always been a helpful exercise for me, to just take a breath, pause, and try to separate those facts from feelings.
Yeah. And again, like, I mean, you just reference, it's just not natural or normal. We're not seeing this modeled in our culture. We're not seeing it modeled in pretty much anywhere. And I think you think through the biggest political divisive issues of the day, cultural issues of the day, lawsuits, all this stuff, anything you pull out your phone and like the news headlines you see, you think like how would that have been different if someone or all the people in that equation had just said, "Hey, let's ask some more questions. Let's believe the best. Let's enter this with a little bit of curiosity. Let's try to see it through their eyes. We may not land in the same place, but let's just try to see it through their eyes and see if we can come to a solution."
Yeah, that's so good. What would you say for someone who is listening to this and is like, okay, like really feeling like, okay, I'm looking in the mirror and I'm assuming the worst. I'm not believing the best. And it's something I want to get better at, but they're finding themselves in that cycle of cynicism or jadedness. What are some practical ways we personally can overcome that? So I hear you on like, write it on a sticky note, put it on your steering wheel, lead with curiosity. What other tips would you have for someone that's in that brain space?
I think it's like anything we're trying to change in our lives. If we can find someone who's tuned into it, that's close to us, that we give them permission to point it out when they see it. Because we're not going to, we're all blind about something, or we're not self-aware about something in our lives. And so, part of it is the personal work that we do and just becoming more aware, but other people, like people that are close to us. So if you're in a workplace environment and you have a close associate or an executive assistant or a peer or a boss who's like, "Hey, when you see this, could you just call it out? Maybe not that second, but remind me or let me know because this is super important to me. And so when I act differently than this, like I'm not doing it on purpose. Like I want to know. So can you help me become more self-aware in this area?" which is vulnerable. It's a vulnerable thing to invite someone into, to say, you know, point things out when I do things wrong. Like, no
Mhm.
one likes to hear when they're doing things wrong. But I think if you actually want to shift and change in that area, you need some help.
Yeah, that's so good. Awesome. All right, team, leading smart community listening to this, let's all try to believe the best more this year and lead with curiosity as we try to lead smarter. How'd you like that,
Ooh,
Tim? Lead
good timing.
smarter in
Also,
26.
by the way, this is leading in real time, so
Yeah.
we don't need Alexis to make any edits. It's all
No,
good.
we
No,
do.
no,
Oh,
no,
no,
no. It's
Tim.
just we're
Oh,
leading in real time, Holly. What do you not
no.
understand about the theme of this podcast?
There is something wrong with my I didn't eat lunch. I'm, like, sitting here going, "What is wrong with my brain today?" I skipped lunch, so maybe that's why. So, I don't know, but I literally feel like I've started 3 sentences and been like, "What in the world?" Where am
Your brain at like 70% is way better than most of us get to experience ourselves. So it's all good.
oh gosh, that's very kind, but yeah, I don't know. Thank you. You're believing the best about me. Thank you.
I totally believe the best in you.
Okay, well, I wanna transition to our fun segment, hard right turn, okay, which we kinda had a little bit of fun at the beginning. That was fun.
I I
But
choose to
oh,
believe this is 100% fun, but
yes.
we just turn a corner at the end. Okay.
Okay. So you have to get on a plane in 1 hour that is a, one-way ticket to anywhere in the world, but it has to be outside of the United States, okay? So a different country. Where are you going?
Why is it a one-way ticket? Like, everyone I love is here. Help me with that.
I mean, I guess that doesn't really matter. It could be round trip, whatever. It doesn't matter. But
Okay.
you gotta
It
get on a plane in an
That
hour
actually
and
makes a
go.
difference. That's a huge
Oh, does
difference.
it really? Okay, tell me more.
Well, a one-way ticket, like, I'm trying to escape. I'm running away from everything that's dear to me, and I'm gonna hide out somewhere.
Oh,
So,
that's true. I didn't even think about that.
okay. So I'm coming back. Let's just put it there.
Okay, you're coming back.
And I'm
Actually,
getting
no, let's answer both. Where are you gonna go if you have to escape and hide? And where are you gonna go if you get to come home?
well, I would need to do some research on, like, extradition treaties to see, make sure they can't come find me and bring me back. So not sure where that would be. But, I think so. Good question. Let me think. But why an hour from now? I'm getting on the plane in an hour. Okay.
Yeah,
I do have a good passport.
I don't actually. I realized mine expires, or maybe it already did, or it's at the end of this year, so
Yeah,
I gotta get on
you
that.
gotta get on that because you never know when something's gonna come up at the last minute.
Yep.
Um, but, which we'll talk about in a minute, about another country and
Mhm.
passports.
You read my
Uh,
mind.
so I would say, we did a cruise last summer, and so you got to spend like 8 hours on like 7 different places. Santorini was a very cool place that I'd love to spend some more time,
Where
and
is
that's
where
in
is that?
Greece. It's an island,
Okay.
in Greece, and then also probably the second place would be the Amalfi Coast in, Italy.
Mm,
Those 2 places, that's a lot of people and a lot of traffic, but I could do that. I'll go to one of those places
okay.
as long as I can come
But
back.
that's your not escape, that's your coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, without researching treaties and the word that I can't even pronounce that you said before the word treaty, where where would you go if you were
Um,
escaping?
well, if I tell you, you'll send people to find me, so but
That's true.
I would say if I really don't wanna be found, I'd probably go to India.
Yeah, that's true. I've been to India twice, and I will say that's a great place to go to not be
Yeah.
found.
I've been to India, but I haven't been to Mumbai, and
I haven't been to Mumbai either.
I think that'd be a city I would enjoy because it's, like, contemporary and metropolitan, but it's also a gazillion people, and I'm hiding, so it's a good place to hide.
Yeah, that's true. That's good. I would go if I to not escape from coming home. Japan.
Oh,
That's been on our list. We were like loosely planning a trip for in 2020. In 2019, we were loosely planning a trip with some friends in 2020. And so anyway, that didn't happen, of course, and we never picked it back up. But I that's on both me and Elliot's list. We love Japanese culture, Japanese food. So definitely want to make that happen at some point is Japan. And then to go to escape. Um, hmm. Probably, I mean, I feel like I would, you're going to laugh because this is not a good place to go if I actually do want to escape. But for my, um, like comfort level, it'd probably be Canada, even though I know I would be found. Does that make sense? But it feels like it's just like more
Familiar.
of this uncomfortable. Yeah. um,
Well,
except that I don't love the cold, but anyway.
go to Chilliwack because we know an amazing
Yes.
church, an amazing team there, and then you won't be hiding because they'll know you're there. But
Yeah. Maybe they would I trust that team to protect
they
me.
probably
Yeah.
wouldn't tell. Yeah,
They would hide me.
yeah.
That's awesome. Oh, that was a fun one. Well, that was our fun segment for today because we are excited to let you know that we have a Leading Smart trip. Well, or a few of us from Leading Smart are going to be going to Israel with our friend David Whiting, who's been on our podcast before. He's part of our Leading Smart team. He's also part of our partner Generosity OS's team. He's led how many trips to Israel, you think, Tim?
I don't know how many, but a bunch over like the last 20, 25 years.
Yeah. And it's in October, and it's like it's 10 days at the beginning of October. And so, yeah, Tim, you and Faith are going. Some other friends of ours are going. I
Holly,
would love for
maybe
Elliot.
Holly and Elliot.
I
We're
know.
crossing our fingers.
I was telling Tim, I've been to Israel before, and absolutely, I mean, it's such a wonderful and transformative experience. I would love for Elliot to go. I don't know if we can pull it off this year, but it's percolating.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anything you want to share about the trip?
No, but I've been wondering this for like the last 3 weeks. Is the
Yeah.
word percolating or percolating?
Oh, I say percolating, but let's perk you. Well, it's a U, right? You spell it with a U. Perculating.
I thought you spelled it
Nope,
with an O.
it's an O.
But I've heard multiple people recently say percolating, and I'm like, they're probably right. I just didn't grow up saying it that way.
No, you're probably right because let's see if it has like the oh, here we go. Here, I don't know if you guys can hear this, but I'm going to play the Okay, apparently there are two pronunciations.
Figures.
Here, I'll put my mic down here. Let's see. Could you hear that?
Nope.
Oh man.
Why don't you just tell me?
Okay, that one was percolate, like what you say. Okay, so now let me hear this one. That one was how I say it. That one was
Okay.
percolate. But that one is non-standard. So the
Such
first
a
one,
which one's non-standard? Perk you?
yeah, the way I
Okay.
say it, percolate.
Well, that makes sense because there's not much about you that's standard.
That is true.
So that makes sense. But back to the topic at hand, Israel. So if you want to come hang with us, it'd be kind of fun to have kind of like a little Leading Smart crew doing that together. And also, like if that's something you're thinking about at your church, then come on a trip like this, and then you can see if David Whiting and the group that he partners with it would be a good solution for you guys. So
Yeah. And because we love segues, because we segued from our fun travel segment to
Yes.
our Israel trip. Speaking of traveling and trips in 2026, we still have some spots where it's getting, at the time this airs, it's getting close to the cutoff mark. But we have 2 executive pastor gatherings and 1 lead pastor gathering. At the end of this month, the last week of January, we have an executive pastor gathering in Palm Springs. And then right after that, the first week of February is our lead pastor gathering in Palm Springs. And then the last week of February is our executive pastor gathering in Clearwater, Florida. So if you're listening to this in real time and you have been thinking about it and haven't signed up yet, seriously, you want to do that this week before we start cutting those off.
That's good. And we always have a couple people sign up the first week of January because they're in a new budget year and they're able to do it.
Yes. So you can go to leadingsmart.com to find all of this think leadingsmart.com/Israel is for the Israel trip. Leadingsmart.com/gatherings is for the gatherings. But just head on over to leadingsmart.com or email us, Tim@leadingsmart.com, or Anna on our team who can send you all the links, Anna@leadingsmart.com, and we will send you all of the info. All right, Tim, thanks for reminding us to believe the best today. I hope you guys are having a great start to your 2026, and we will see you next time on the Leading Smart podcast.
Yep. Happy New Year, all.